The purpose of this project is to study the structure and dynamics of wall-bounded flows. We combine topological analysis of flow fields introduced by Chang, Perry, and Cantwell in 1990 with the multi-scale non-local geometric characterization of flow structures developed by Bermejo-Moreno and Pullen in 2008. The primary goal is to link purely geometrical properties of the educed structures with the physical quantities that are relevant to the structure's dynamics. In addition to improving our understanding of the relation between the dynamical and geometrical aspects of turbulent structures, these findings can guide the development of structure-based models for the subsequent use in numerical simulations. The data used for this research is a result of a DNS of incompressible boundary layer over a smooth flat plate at a zero angle of attack carried out by Wu and Moyne. The Reynolds number based on the momentum thickness ranges from 80 at the inlet to about 2000. The turbulence becomes fully developed at Re theta of approximately 750. To facilitate the expedient transition, patches of isotropic turbulence were periodically introduced at the inlet. The topological analysis is carried out in the region of fully developed turbulence, where we will distinguish among viscous, buffer, and log-law layers. The study of individual structures deduced from the flow will be performed in a cubic subdomain of size of approximately 2000 wall units. The subdomain moves with the mean flow, allowing us to track the structures and study their evolution in time. In the incompressible flow, there exist four non-degenerate local topologies, which are distinguished by the position in the QR plane, where Q and R are the second and the third invariants of the velocity gradient tensor. The top left figure shows the joint PDF of QR for the outer layer. It exhibits the teardrop shape typical to all turbulent flows studied to date, which is also found not to change throughout the whole boundary layer. The bottom right figure shows the joint PDF of QS and RS, the invariants of the strain rate tensor, in the outer layer. The dominance of unstable node saddle-saddle topology, shown in the figure, is also typical for all turbulent flows. The correlation between the entropy and dissipation, which is shown in the top right-hand joint PDF, is similar to that found in homogeneous isotropic turbulence. As we extend our sampling domain towards the wall, the correlation between the entropy and dissipation becomes stronger, indicating the dominance of sheet-like structure in an emergence of the stable node saddle-saddle topology in the strain field as indicated by the QSRS joint PDF. Furthermore, including the viscous layer into the sampling domain shows the predominant two-dimensionality of the strain field in that layer. The strong correlation between the dissipation and entropy clearly shows the dominance of sheet-like structures in the viscous layer. We studied the Lagrangian evolution of QA-RA invariants using the method of conditioned mean trajectories proposed by Wu and co-authors in 1999. The conditional mean trajectories are computed from the conditional Lagrangian vector fields, which are shown superimposed on the plot. From these trajectories, we obtain characteristic timescales associated with the topological changes of structures in the different layers of the wall-bounded flow. To study the geometry of structures educed from the flow field, we use and extend the methodology introduced by Bermejo-Moreno and Pullen. First, we analyze the structures educed from the entropy and dissipation fields in a cubic subdomain. A 3D multi-scale decomposition, which is based on the curved transform, is applied to these fields in order to separate the structures that correspond to different ranges of scales. Subsequently, the structures are reduced at each scale by isocontouring the corresponding component field. Each individual structure is then geometrically characterized by computing two properties from differential geometry, namely the shape index and curvedness, which are mapped onto the surface. They are combined into a joint PDF, the center of which characterizes the non-local geometry of the structure. Different regions in that parametric plane correspond to different global geometries, such as blobs, tubes, and sheets. Once this is done for all educed structures of entropy and dissipation, we classify and compare their geometry by the location of the circles in that plane. These circles are sized by the structure's surface area and colored by the average value of dissipation and entropy on the surface. At large scales, structures within the subdomain exhibit a sheet-like character, As we proceed to smaller scales, the tube and blob-like geometries become prominent. However, at the smallest scales, the sheet-like structures re-emerge and become dominant. Note that at intermediate scales, the structures associated with entropy are more tube-like than those associated with the dissipation. We perform a similar analysis to assess the quality of Q and sigma criteria in identification of vortical tubes and sheets in wall-bounded flows. Notice how structures of Q on the left concentrate near the tube-like region and structures of sigma on the right tend to be sheet-like. The coloring corresponds to the average rate of change of entropy on the surface. The presence of red color indicates that the rate of change of entropy is higher for tubes than sheets. The temporal evolution is shown using 5 snapshots. We have also studied the dynamics and the time evolution of individual flow structures. To illustrate, we show the evolution of a single hairpin vortex over 5 time snapshots. The surface is colored by the value of vortex stretching. Notice how the regions with negative stretching, mostly in blue, make the right arm disappear while the left arm is being extended. Changes in the shape of this hairpin are translated onto the geometrical characterization given by the joint PDFs in the center. The plots on the right relate the geometry with a physical quantity of interest, in this case the vortex stretching, using the same color scale. The evolution in time of the average vortex stretching on the surface is plotted on the bottom left corner. In conclusion, we have successfully extended and fused the two mentioned methodologies. We successfully applied them to an initial study of the structure and time evolution of a wall-bounded turbulent flow. We are currently running new simulations to increase the temporal resolution and time span of the data set to study the structural evolution throughout the lifetime of the flow features. Furthermore, we plan to analyze the transition region and the effect of the Reynolds number as well.